Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming a video about how to cope with Christmas and the Christmas period in general when you have an eating disorder. I feel like something that a lot of people don't realise is that it is actually quite a difficult time of year for a lot of people with eating disorders. I mean, before I got ill it was obviously nothing I would have ever thought about because I didn't really know much about eating disorders at all, but if you think about Christmas, even on Christmas Day alone, you've got often chocolates in stockings, the big roast dinner, turkey sandwiches or whatever in the evening, the Christmas pudding. So much of Christmas does revolve around food, especially the parties and advent calendars, everything. Hence why it can be quite stressful when you have an eating disorder. If you're new here, my name is Ro. I developed anorexia when I was about 14 or 15. I've been in recovery for 2 years now, and I basically just make videos trying to help people who are recovering from eating disorders in a non-triggering way. So this channel is a safe space, basically. So without further ado, let's get into it. So basically, I've done a lot of writing in my little notebook. Most of this came from what I would have struggled with when I was just trying to get through Christmas. Now I look forward to Christmas and I enjoy it. But I know when I was unwell or early recovery, it was a bit of a scary time. So I've kind of got 6 different categories that I'm going to talk about, and hopefully if you are struggling at this time of year, something in this will kind of resonate with you and help you. So I think the first thing about Christmas that really freaked me out when I was deep in my eating disorder was the idea of eating more food and all different foods. Obviously at Christmas, as I just said, there's a lot of focus on food, a lot of talk about food, and that terrified me. I know personally I wanted to just stick with what I knew and I wanted to work it all into my meal plan. This is all depending on what stage of your recovery you're in, but the first point I want to make that I want you to sort of keep telling yourself is that you won't remember the calories or what you ate or any fear foods you faced. You will remember the memories that you make on Christmas. And that might sound a little bit cheesy, but for me, even looking back at last year, I had a roast dinner. Do I remember that? No. What I remember is being with my family, opening presents, going on a dog walk. That's what I remember. I haven't really given a second thought to what I ate when I've thought about last year. So if you're scared of the guilt that's going to come with the eating, that is so temporary, and you don't want to miss out on all those memories because you're scared of calories. And in regards to eating more, remember that it is so normal to eat more from day to day and eat less from day to day. What you eat is meant to fluctuate in the same way your body weight is going to fluctuate. You are a human, you have different needs on different days. Say the week before my period, I am like way hungrier than I would be on a week where I'm not due on my period, and that is because my body is doing different things. It needs different foods, but that doesn't ever change my weight. Like, I have been stable throughout all the different amounts of hunger I've had this year. Before my period, being really hungry, I will eat more, I will honour it. My body doesn't change. If the thing that's freaking you out is that you're going to lose control because it's Christmas and you're going to eat different foods, your brain is honestly lying to you. It's never going to be as significant as you think it is, and the control that you feel you're in by not eating or by avoiding certain foods is such a farce. It is not real control. Real control comes from honouring your body and giving your body what it needs and not listening to an eating disorder. And kind of along the lines of your body needing a different amount every day, if you're on a meal plan and there's something you really want to have but you're scared because it's an extra or it doesn't fit into your meal plan, extras are not extra. Your meal plan is most probably just a minimum. Obviously I can't speak for the people that are needing that to be closely monitored because of like their physical state or whatever, but for anyone else, your meal plan is a minimum. And the second that you stop viewing your meal plan as the only stuff that you're allowed and realise that you can eat over it and nothing bad is going to happen, that is very freeing. So if you want to have some chocolate or a mince pie or dessert or some extra roast potatoes or whatever at Christmas, nothing is going to change. Your worth is not going to change, your weight is not going to change. You are allowed to join in, and also nobody is going to be thinking anything negative about you because you're joining in with the Christmas spirit. I don't know if that's the word I'm trying to use. Basically nobody's thinking about you what you're thinking about yourself. Okay, moving on to the fear of weight gain. As I just said, weight fluctuations are normal. Nobody's weight is meant to be maintained to the gram every single day, every single hour. Your weight is meant to change, your body changes, your body is doing different processes all the time. I personally don't weigh myself. I ditched the scales a long time ago because those fluctuations would freak me out when actually they didn't mean anything. So that would be my one biggest piece of advice, is to not weigh yourself, especially not over the Christmas period. And if you are having to get weighed, probably don't look, because I know that it will just add so much stress and anxiety, and It is easier said than done to just not look or not know it, but if you are in a place where you can kind of start to challenge that, I really would recommend that. And you are human. You are allowed to gain weight. Like, this is a festive time of year, and if you do end up gaining a bit of weight that you weren't expecting to gain or whatever, be gentle with yourself. It really does not matter. You were not put on this earth to shrink yourself and to control your body weight. There is so much more to you. I know that there is so much talk at Christmas, annoyingly, about weight gain and like, oh, I'll get rid of all this in the new year, but like, that is so much bullshit, to be honest with you. Other people saying that they're planning on losing weight or that they're going to be so bad and gain so much weight doesn't need to affect you. You know in your heart what is right, and what is right is to join in and eat and have fun. And if other people are wrapped up in diet culture, that doesn't need to affect you. I know that it can be really hard because it sometimes feels like it's kind of affirming those things that you believe, but they can do what they want to do, focus on yourself, and at the same time, absolutely nobody's focusing on your body. I have realised recently, when I was really unwell or like deep in anorexia, when I used to go out, I would focus on other people's bodies, and because I was focusing on other people's bodies, I was so sure that everyone else was focusing on my body. And now, the past couple of weeks, when I've been out and about and I've seen people and I've spoken to people, the only thing I've noticed is their face. I have not given a second thought to their body, unless they're wearing a really nice outfit, but still, I literally don't care what a person's body shape looks like. And to be honest, literally nobody cares. Nobody's looking at your body. And if anyone does make a comment on your body, we'll get onto that in a minute, but for the most part, absolutely nobody's focusing on your body. You might be overthinking how you look, but that does not reflect onto anyone else. They are not thinking about how you look. But if somebody does comment on your body, especially if like you've been through weight restoration this year or since you last saw them, try and reframe it in your head. I know that when you're told you look well or you look healthy or you've gained weight, immediately, if you have a restrictive eating disorder or anorexic cognitions, your brain's going to go, oh my god, they think that you look fat. Which is obviously scary when you have anorexia, not that it should be, but try and mentally reframe that, because the reason that that person is saying that is not to tell a person who they were worried about in terms of their weight that they've suddenly got fat and that that's a bad thing, if you know what I mean. I don't know if this is making sense, but they're telling you that because they're happy and they're glad and they're relieved to see that you have gained weight and that your body is probably happier and functioning better. Basically just, they're not trying to insult you. Somebody saying you look well or you look healthy is definitely a compliment, and that can be scary to hear in anorexia, but just try and mentally reframe that. And the last thing I'd say about gaining weight around Christmas time is just to remember where your fear of gaining weight comes from. Your fear of gaining weight comes from your opinions that you have on yourself, or from your eating disorder, or from what you believe. Now, in recovery, you really need to unlearn all of those fears. I'm no longer scared of gaining a little bit of weight. I know that my body's in a happy and healthy place, but I also know that if I did eat a bit more and I gained a bit of weight, my body will do its thing and balance it out, and I trust my body. That fear stems from anorexia. So if you're in recovery, it really is about reminding yourself where that fear comes from, and that actually that is a disordered fear and a disordered thing to focus on. The next thing I want to talk about is comments from family members, which we kind of just touched on, but I did put a question box on my Instagram, and a lot of people said that the thing that they were most worried about at Christmas was comments from family and friends that they were going to see that they hadn't seen in a while. The first thing is getting comments about how much you have on your plate at Christmas. Or at the Christmas meal. I saw a lot of people say that they would have relatives that would tell them like, oh, you're eating a lot or whatever. Just a reminder that it really does not matter what anyone else thinks. You are your own person. You are eating for your body and for your needs. You know what your body needs. You know what you're hungry for. You know what you want. What some family member that you haven't seen in a while thinks about what you're eating does not matter. As long as it's adequate, whatever you've put on your plate is right for you, and that's what you need to focus on. If they're making negative comments about it, that's a them problem. They clearly have issues that they need to work through themselves, and they don't understand your situation. I need a drink. My water's all the way down there. Also, I don't think I said, but literally right before I started filming this, I smashed a glass of water all over the floor, so I have that to deal with. But yeah, basically, I kind of came into contact with a lot of people that did not understand my situation, that told me I was eating loads when I was in recovery. That was mainly online because my family members are very sensitive and very kind. But a lot of other people have very skewed perceptions of food. That doesn't mean it's normal, and it doesn't mean it's right. But that is not something you can control, and you just need to work on only focusing on what you think and just trusting that what you're doing is right. Because realistically, why would it be a bad thing to have a lot of food on your plate? Unless you have some kind of condition where that's actually genuinely going to physically harm you, there is absolutely nothing wrong with eating. And I know that's a very simple way to put it, and I don't know if that makes sense, but Again, if they tell you that you look well or healthy and that triggers you, try and remember that healthy is what we're aiming for here in recovery. It is a compliment. You are trying to be healthy. To not be healthy is obviously to be unwell, which is to be in anorexia and probably very closed off, isolated, cold, miserable. So healthy is the aim. It's a compliment. I know that a lot of people who struggle with anorexia as well kind of have this fear of like, I'm not going to seem anorexic if I'm eating food at Christmas, and you can kind of feel invalidated by feeling like other people are judging you for eating. I just want to remind you that people with anorexia eat. Every single person who has an eating disorder would be dead if they didn't eat. Like, that's literally how it works. You are absolutely definitely doing the right thing by eating, and anorexia stereotypes are generally very outdated, and anorexia isn't really understood. There's a lot of awareness about it, but it's still not really understood. Anorexic people eat. You need to eat. If you're worrying about other people thinking that like you're not ill or whatever because you have a plate of food, that is honestly their problem. They need to research anorexia and understand better. Send them my way and I will talk to them. But also, loads of people recover. Loads of people recover. Loads of people with anorexia will be eating food this Christmas. You don't need to feel guilty. You are not faking it or invalid or any of that because you're eating a plate of food at Christmas. You deserve to eat and you need to eat, and it's normal. The next thing that a lot of people said that they were worrying about or that they struggle with around Christmas is family triggers. If you have family members with an eating disorder that you're going to see that you like haven't seen in a while, or you just generally find very triggering, I do actually have a video. I think it's called like how to recover in an eating disorder. Oh god, I don't know what it's called. I'll put the thumbnail up here anyway, but I'll link that in the description because there is a part of the video where I talk about how to cope with being around others with an eating disorder, so that might help you. But if something that triggers you is other people eating less food, I need you to remind yourself that you are your own person, you are eating for your needs and for your body, and if they're eating less, that's because they're either less hungry or they're doing it for their own reasons which do not need to affect you. You need to eat for your body. Just because somebody else is eating less doesn't mean that your body needs less. Your body is doing all of those processes regardless of what you eat, and you need to fuel it properly so that it can be happy. I know at Christmas there is a lot of people talking about how they're going to burn the food off or how they're going to lose it all in the new year, but you don't need to compensate and you do not need to earn your food. You deserve food literally no matter what. If you spend the entirety of Christmas in bed, your body is still alive, your heart's still beating, you're still breathing, your blood is still pumping around your body, which is the same thing as your heart beating, I think. Your body is still producing things and getting rid of things and doing all of these things, which mean that it needs food and you don't have to earn it. You need food even if you're literally doing absolutely nothing. People who are in a coma need food. You don't need to burn it off. You deserve it just by existing. Those people, again, it sounds harsh, but they just kind of, they have their own issues and you need to not let them affect you, because you can't live your life living what I'm trying to say is basically that you can't live your life living your life based off what other people are doing. Or eating or saying or whatever, if you know what I mean. I don't know if that makes sense. Along the same lines, again, I feel like I used to have, and still do to an extent, this kind of idea in my head of Christmas equals weight gain, which is just not the case. I think the only reason that I have that in my head is because I hear so many people talking about it like, oh, well, I'm gonna gain weight over Christmas, so in the new year I'll burn it off or whatever. It's just bullshit. The last however many Christmases, unless I've been deliberately trying to gain weight, I haven't gained weight. Not to say it's a bad thing if you do, absolutely fine if you do, but I used to have such like an anticipation and a worry like in my chest leading up to Christmas that all of a sudden I was going to lose control and gain weight, and that was scary because I had anorexia. That is not accurate. That is just a diet culture weird kind of myth almost, because half the time the actual amount you're eating doesn't even change very much. It's just eating different things. So kind of try and rule that out, as hard as it is. I used to also get this feeling of like all eyes were on me when I was eating because I was anorexic, so I always thought everyone's going to be staring at me thinking, why the hell is she eating? That didn't really affect me too much because I did kind of just know that like, well, I'm in recovery and I need to eat. But if you have that feeling like all eyes are on you and you don't want to eat in front of people, try and think about how much, as a healthy person, when you were a healthy person, how much did you really stare at other people when they were eating? How much did you really focus on what everyone else was doing and eating. It's probably not a lot, because as humans we focus on ourselves. I know there's the whole like main character thing, but there's no way you can't not be. There's no way you can't be. Words are not making sense in my head. Basically, you are the centre of your world. Your life does revolve around you. So you're always going to focus on yourself more than you're going to focus on other people. And guess what? Everyone is the same. So when you feel like everyone's eyes are on you, they're not. That is your brain overthinking and being anxious about something that isn't happening. Christmas as well, especially in the UK. I don't really know much about other Christmases cultures. I do want to learn about that. But there's a big drinking culture in the UK. And at Christmas, there is a lot of pressure to drink. You know, it's kind of like, oh, have a beer, have a wine, like have some champagne. If you don't want to, saying no is fine. If people don't understand, again, I feel like I've said this 100 times, but that is their problem. You do not have to drink. I definitely pick and choose when I drink. Sometimes having alcohol can make me really spaced out. I don't know whether I'll be drinking at Christmas, but I'm not going to feel guilt for saying no. The next thing is the absolutely awful feeling of feeling like you are ruining Christmas and having that guilt. This is something that I really struggled with, because I was ill for quite a few Christmases and I just felt like every single one I managed to ruin because I was struggling with food, or because I was anxious, or because I was worried. I felt like I was just killing the vibe and ruining Christmas. There's not really any way around this one, because to an extent, if you are struggling with an eating disorder and outwardly struggling with food, you are gonna impact your family's Christmas to some degree. So there's not really any way you can prevent that unless you are going all out in recovery and giving it your all and joining in. Just know it is not your fault. It is not your fault if Christmas is a bit different because you're struggling with an eating disorder. I really highly doubt that you chose to get ill or that you want to be in the situation you're in. If you had the choice, I am sure that you wouldn't be causing any kind of upset to anyone around you. Eating disorders aren't a choice, they're illnesses. If you had the flu and you made Christmas a bit different, you wouldn't be like, oh my god, I'm the worst person in the world because I've got the flu and I've ruined Christmas. Like, it's not something you can control, so don't let yourself feel that guilt. Be gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself. You are doing your best. I can't remember what I was saying now because I just suddenly saw my hamster appear and got distracted. I beat myself up for a long time about December 2020. That was when I was probably at my most unwell, and I just felt so bad because it was a bit of a shit Christmas, to be honest. There's no denying it. There's literally no denying it. It was a bit of a shit Christmas. But I couldn't help that. I was unwell and that was how it was, and I didn't choose that, and I'm kind of come to terms with it now. I've had another Christmas since where we've had a wonderful time. This year's going to be incredible too, and we can forget about that. It's 1 month in the year, or even 1 day in the year. You have many more Christmases to make wonderful for everyone around you. It is okay to struggle at Christmas time. It doesn't have to be the most holly jolly time of the year. I know that there is so much on social media that is so positive, like, oh my god, it's Christmas, yay, like I'm having so much fun. But if you're not, that's fine. You're allowed to struggle. Mental illness doesn't just turn itself off for the holidays or for Christmas. That was very American of me. I said I was going to post 2 videos a week in December. Do you know what? This week just had a bad brain week and I'm still feeling festive. I'm still having a good time, as you can see by my Merry Christmas banner, but my mental illness hasn't just switched itself off because like it's December. Like, hey, it's fine to struggle. It's fine if you're not in the most cheerful mood. Try and treat it just like any other day and get through it, and be kind to yourself and be gentle on yourself. It is just 1 day. It is fine if it is not perfect. I've literally written here, providing you look after yourself, you will have 100 more Christmases. Wait, probably not, because then you'd be over 120. But it's okay for it not to be perfect. That was like the only in detail note I actually wrote, and it's just me rambling. That's so funny. Anyway, the final kind of topic that I want to cover is practical things that you can do to help yourself through Christmas. The first thing that can be really hard but is actually really helpful is just making those who you're going to be around at Christmas aware of your anxieties. Even if that's only one person, like say your whole family's going to be there, but you've told your mum that this is what you're worried about and this is what you're stressed about. At least you have one person there who can take you aside and talk to you, and who you can let those worries out to and get reassurance from. It's kind of just about making the day easier, because for a lot of people it is going to be hard no matter what. So making those around you aware of your anxieties, and if you have a particularly open family, if one of your family members can make everyone else aware that you're going to be struggling a bit, that can also be really helpful, just because they may not make comments about you being down or like you're not very jolly or whatever, or making comments about your body. If you have that kind of family dynamic, then I'd probably recommend doing that, because that might take the stress off you a bit and you won't be anticipating people's comments. So yeah, basically just asking for support. Try not to focus on the food, try to focus on all the other things that you do on the day. For people that are watching this thinking how to help a person that they love with an eating disorder, probably also try to not focus on the food. I made a gift guide, the video before last I believe, with gift ideas that aren't food related, so if you need those kind of ideas, that video is there. And plan distractions, games, TV, going out on a walk, whatever it is, just plan distractions that you can look forward to that aren't to do with eating or your body or whatever. We always play games as a family on Christmas. We don't really watch TV that much, but if you have like a special Christmas movie or something, focus on that and just keep telling yourself those affirmations. Like, make a list of the ones that you find really helpful. For me, it's like, I deserve to eat. Eating is a normal part of human life. My body deserves food no matter what. It's okay to eat more this season. It's okay if my body changes. Just things along those lines. Basically, I feel like I have waffled a lot. I hope that this video was helpful. I just wanted to make something that would have helped me when I was in the position that a lot of you are in. I love you all so much. Please look after yourself. Have a very Merry Christmas. My camera's about to die. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram if you'd like. And yeah, just look after yourself. And I will see you next week, hopefully, where I will have 2 videos. Fingers crossed. My camera is literally about to die. I love you all. Thanks for watching.